Welcome back to Block TV, and today a closer look at one of the most promising yet embattled as of late Sphere projects, namely IOTA. Originally marketed as a permissionless or the permissionless distributed ledger for a new economy with a stellar start, it has been struggling as of late. Now, after a massive hack back in February, yesterday, good news for the foundation. As per Cointelegraph, the IOTA network, and I'm quoting, was relaunched on Tuesday, that would be yesterday, following the February 12th attack on the platform's Trinity wallet software. Although the network was shut down that same day to prevent further security breaches, 8.55 million IOTAs, approximately $2 million, were stolen from 50 users of the digital asset wallet. Now, joining us now from Berlin is Dominik Schiener. He's one of the IOTA co-founders. Hello. An Italian entrepreneur. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first of all, Dominik, I want to start with you. When it comes to the relaunch yesterday, do you guys feel secure that was the time to do it?
So I think what we have to keep into account here is really the complexity of the attack, because it wasn't really a breach on the protocol itself, but it was our Trinity wallet where we had the vulnerability that was introduced through a third party. And so for us, it was very difficult to fully understand the full scope of the attack, how many users were affected. We knew of 50 users and those 8.55 Ti that we were able to track down. But we made the decision to keep the network down further so that we could actually develop a migration tool so that all of the Trinity users that have utilized the wallet since December until February could safely transition their seats. And in total, we've received a few thousand submissions or migrations.
Right.
And so yesterday, after this 1 week period, we came to the conclusion that it was the right time to relaunch the network and resume operations.
And when you say that it was a very compounded attack, what do you mean by that? Break that down for me a bit more.
So essentially, it wasn't. So the way that the attack was done is a third-party provider. In this case, MoonPay was compromised, and because they were compromised, the hacker was able to essentially inject vulnerable code into the Trinity wallet, and through that, he was able to steal some seats, i.e., passwords of users. And for us, it was not possible to fully track down how many users were affected by this.
Which is why it took some time, it took practically a month.
Yeah.
What stops are in place to prevent something like this happening again?
So essentially, we are not going to implement any third-party providers anymore. And we are also completely redoing our wallet now with the Rust core base, where we are separating the core cryptography functions and also the seed storage from the more beautifying wallet functions, right? The user interface. And we will also stop utilizing some JavaScript frameworks simply because they are prone to have problems in this space. And many wallets actually utilize them, but we want to really be the first ones that come up with a complete new approach on how we can make sure that our wallet are secure and that there's never something like this happening again. Obviously, previously we've done 2 security audits on Trinity, and we will continue to do security audits because they're quite helpful. And I think with the current wallet, it is safe. It can be utilized because we have done a security audit. And we are obviously working towards the future to have a better wallet that is more scalable and where we can also have more safe checks and balances in place than before.
When you say you're working on it, in what way? What checks and balances could be put in place to prevent this?
Essentially, what I said, the differentiating the user interface and actually the cryptography functions themselves. So we are also working on hardware actually, and this is known to the entire space, right? That you can only really make sure that your crypto tokens are secure if you actually have hardware security as well. Right. So that's why we also work with Ledger. That's why we're also thinking about our own hardware security modules that we can then also give our users or also corporate partners if they want to utilize something like the IOTA wallet.
Now, we're operating in a sphere that, needless to say, the mainstream does not trust that much. People within the sphere, one could argue, have trust issues. When something like this happens, how much do you think you've lost when it comes to the community's trust and trust outwardly moving forward?
So I think first thing first, we have to own our mistakes here. because we were not making sure that the security of the wallet is of utmost importance, is the first thing that we prioritize out of everything, because we simply we came into this with too many assumptions, and we've neglected some of those checks and balances that should have been in place. And that is actually also why we've made this conscious decision to actually refund some of those, or most, or all of the victims that were affected by this hack. And obviously, when it comes to how we have operated out of this, I think that is what most of the people will actually remember. Because I think, and I'm very proud of how the IOTA Foundation has actually reacted from this, and how transparently we've communicated to the community what has been going on.
Right.
And also how we are fixing this, and obviously that we are owning up to our mistakes.
And look, that is owning up to a mistake is key, I think. Anyway, not just for the sphere. That's a lesson for life.
Yeah.
All that said, IOTA's coin, IOTA, lost nearly 405. Basically a mass amount of its value. Bouncing back from that, how do you see a bounce back from that? And granted, we are speaking in perilous times, where who the heck knows what's going to happen with the rest of the world's economy in every sphere. But how do you bounce back from that?
So I think fundamentally the drop in price in the IOTA token had little to do with the hack itself. We've seen that in the market, and it was largely correlated with the larger market, because we've also seen a drop of Bitcoin from 9,200 to the price it is right now. And every coin has been going down in the same proportional manner. And I don't think that IOTA has significantly dropped because of this.
Really?
Obviously, the public awareness of IOTA, or especially on Reddit and those specific forums where people are speaking negatively about IOTA, that is obviously something that impacts us. But fundamentally, we as a foundation, we are not focused on increasing the price, but we are focused on creating value. And nothing has changed fundamentally about the path that we are going, right? And we are still focused on delivering a permissionless distributed ledger with Corticide that is production ready and that can actually be utilized to solve real world problems. And from the discussions that we've had with our close corporate partners, most of them were actually very happy, first of all, that we took the action of taking down the coordinator to prevent further theft from happening, the way that we've reacted to the hack itself, and also the way that we are recovering out of this and taking our lessons and really significantly improving from here.
Two more things. Prior to the hack, IOTA, one of the favorite, by the way, of the people working here. No endorsement.
But so.
But that's it. Project Q and the Tangle, and BNC's original analysis of IOTA. Where do all those projects stand within the foundation? Because you guys must have been dealing mostly with the hack and trying to get the network back on.
Yeah, so obviously the hack has been a little bit of a setback in terms of our timeline, because we really had to get all of our expertise together to, first of all, analyze everything, and then to also make sure that we make the right conscious decisions, especially in developing the migration tools. So there's been some delays here, but fundamentally we're still now going back in mode of execution. And so I think the most exciting work over the coming weeks is Go Shimmer. So Go Shimmer is the Corticide alpha network, where people can really start testing out what the future of IOTA will look like. Right. And so we have a new major release that will have value transactions. And so after this release, we will really work on an incentivized test network. And obviously removing the coordinators is our biggest goal. But other than that, we also have some very exciting upgrades to the core protocol before Corticide, where we are working on a new signature scheme, so reusable addresses, and where we also allow tokenized assets, so that you can really do, for example, colored coins with IOTA as well. But other than that, I think our software is still moving forward, and we have some major releases coming up very soon, and nonetheless progress is happening. And we actually had to hold back some of our announcements, obviously, because we didn't want to announce anything during the hack itself. But maybe just to quickly mention what our big objective is for this year. So our big objective is really that we can see the first products taking shape that are developed by our partners or by companies within the IOTA ecosystem, where you can really see that IOTA fundamentally adds value and that IOTA solves a problem. Because what I always say is the worst thing that can happen to this crypto space is that a bunch of nerds got rich. And what we need to make sure is that these distributed ledger technologies actually solve a problem. And we really want to achieve that this year.
I couldn't agree more. If there's anything else that you want to announce on our air, by the way, feel free.
Yeah, for sure. In the near future.
In the near future, I'm going to hold you to it. Now,
Yeah.
no, I definitely will. I want to ask you, because other than just being one of the co-founders of IOTA, you're speaking to me right now from Deutschland, from Germany, from Berlin, but you are of Italian. You're an Italian entrepreneur. Italy has been marked as, the #2 epicenter, one can argue right now, after China when it comes to the coronavirus devastating effects. Do you see, you're in Europe, how much effect do you see the coronavirus having on not just regular markets, but also on our market, also on the sphere?
Yeah.
Because it feels like people are beginning to bleed.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem from Corona, and just putting this out there, I'm absolutely no expert on this. But what I can see is that we can really see the fear in the market, especially after we've had such a bull run over the last few months on the stock market. Now everybody was sort of looking for a reason for prices to go down and for the bear market to start. And I think Corona sort of has become this reason for the market to start acting this way, where they are really panic selling, where they are saying, oh, this will turn into a global pandemic that will have fundamental impact on our economy and lead to a recession. I'm personally still need to understand more if this really have these long-lasting impacts that we are some people are predicting.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the crypto industry, obviously we are global, and we do not need to. I don't think that we will see a very big impact on the crypto industry itself, because it is exactly targeted towards those people that want to be able to transfer value digitally, that don't want to have paper money, that don't want to go to a bank office
Right.
to transfer their money, but they own it, right? It's your own asset, and you can do with it whatever you want. But the impact of the global economy and the way that it's transforming now on our crypto economy, I think that will have to be further assessed.
Do you have
Because there's
family
one
in
side
Italy?
that's, yeah, sorry?
Do you have family in Italy?
Yeah, of course, and they're pretty much on lockdown. So they have to sign that they can only go from work to home and nowhere else.
Jesus.
So it's a pretty surreal scenario for them. And the interesting question will be if there will be more countries following their rule.
I think time will tell. We've all been saying that it feels a little bit like a Handmaid's Tale. But let's hope everybody, as you said, let's hope the panic is maybe slightly more in the media, and all of this will be sorted out too. First of all, I want to thank you so much for joining us today from Berlin, co-founder of the IOTA Foundation, with I'd say, Dominik, one of the main lines is, thank you guys for assuming responsibility. Very few people do that. So it was a very, very...
Thank you very much.
Pleasure speaking with you. We were BLOCKTV.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
Watch us on Amazon Fire TV and Roku.